What is up, my Andronauts? In this video, I'm going to do a deep dive into the testosterone booster Black Ox. And I must say this is one of my favorite testosterone boosters yet, because it contains a whole host of ingredients that increases testosterone and manages estrogen that is actually effective and in the right doses. So if you're one of those people with a short attention span, I really like this one. This is one of my favorite testosterone boosters. If you're on the fence about buying it, just go and buy it. I feel it's really good. Give it a shot. All right, so let's move on with the deep dive. Before we get into the video, be sure to get my manual on how to maximize your testosterone naturally. If you would like to work with me, links are in the description below. Let's dive in. All right, so this is the ingredients of the supplement. All right, it contains calcium as a dicalcium phosphate and calcium diglucarate. So I've made a previous video about calcium diglucarate that's supposed to help with estrogen detoxification, right, and inhibiting beta-glucuronidase. And this dose is too small. But apart from the calcium diglucarate, all of the other ingredients is absolutely fantastic. It contains arcara extract, fenugreek extract, bulbinatalensis, tonkatalene, quinaprurins, indole-3 carbinol, DHEA, DIM, lutein, and black pepper extract, and also Fedoja agrestis powder. And all of the extracts, all of the doses is really on point. So let me discuss each of these ingredients separately. So the ingredients that will help to maximize your testosterone would be arcara, fenugreek, tonkat, bulbine, DHEA, Fedoja, and lutein. So it contains a fair amount of ingredients that will help to increase your testosterone. Ingredients to help manage your estrogen: calcium digluconate, I3C, DIM, and lutein. So again, a couple of ingredients that can help with that. Are these the best? I will let you know. All right, the first one is arcara, and this is exactly what it looks like. All right. So the ethanol extract increases LH and FSH testosterone and fertility in a dose-dependent manner. The human equivalent dose was 24 milligrams per kilogram. So if you are a 100 kilogram person, that would mean 2.5 grams of arcara. And here's what happened. So this is FSH, LH, and testosterone. So this is the control group. This is the different extracts, the different doses. And in the dose-dependent response, you saw an increase in testosterone with arcara, going from 1.5 up to about 4, which is a really good boost. At least more than a double increase in testosterone, at least in these animals. And here it was compared to testosterone injections. So obviously those was not high with the testosterone injections because arcara beat that. And usually if you're using a dose-dependent response testosterone will increase testosterone in a dose-dependent manner. All right, point is, it's very effective at increasing LH and testosterone in a dose-dependent response. Combining the arcara with tribulus might have a synergistic effect. So here was arcara in animals, and there they combined arcara with tribulus, and it significantly increased the testosterone more than either tribulus or arcara alone. So it seems to combine very well with tribulus. In terms of the anabolic effect on the body and on the testes, you will see that body weight increased the most in the arcara group, the 100 milligrams per kilogram. And also the testes was the biggest on the arcara group. So it was anabolic to testes, or at least androgenic. And here are the libido scores. Here you have the mean activity towards the females increased from 7.5 to 17.5. The mean activity scores towards the environment, meaning they were more open to exploring those kind of stuff, went from a 13 to a 24, almost a doubling. Mean activity scores towards the self, so it's like self-grooming and so on, went from a 8.6 to a 16, almost a doubling. And the penile erection index went from a 23 to almost 70. It's like a triple increase in the penile erection score, right? So it had a significant increase in improvement in libido and sexual function. Moving on to fenugreek, the second ingredient, you will see that I compiled all of the evidence here in human evidence using fenugreek and testosterone. And fenugreek can help to increase testosterone, as you can see here. And there's different doses. You can expect an average increase in testosterone from 67 nanograms per deciliter. So some of this extract was as low as 31 and some as high as 124 nanograms per deciliter. And this was an average of 500 to 600 milligrams of an extract. So obviously if you can use more, you might see a bigger increase in testosterone. This was fenugreek on erections per week, right? So the average erection per week at baseline was basically one erection per week. That increased to 2.5. So it's a massive increase in morning erection frequency. and the sexual frequency per week was 1.5 on average. That increased to 3. So it was a doubling in sexual frequency and a 2.5x in morning erection frequency. So regardless of the effect on testosterone, fenugreek will improve erections and sexual function. Moving on to Tongkat Ali. This is a very common testosterone booster used in many testosterone boosters out there. Tongkat Ali increases testosterone dose-dependent response. So this graph, I will get to it in a moment. 200 milligrams of Tongkat Ali increases testosterone by about 25 to 50 nanograms per deciliter. 600 milligrams per day increased testosterone by about 120 nanograms per deciliter on average. The 600 milligrams of Tongkat Ali that they used was a 1.45% uricomenon, which comes down to 8.5 milligrams total. And this increased these young males' testosterone from 802 to 924 nanograms per deciliter in just 14 days. Big increase in testosterone, but the active ingredient needs to be there. It needs to be sourced from Indonesia, which contains the active ingredient. So Tongkat Ali in a dose-dependent response will increase your testosterone. You just need to use the right extract. So this was an animal study where you can see they used different doses, very high doses compared to what they used in animals, in the human studies. Total testosterone skyrocket, free testosterone skyrocket. Right, so if you want to be really adventurous, buy yourself an Indonesian powder and take a teaspoon 3 times a day. And this will give you a much better effect than taking only 600 milligrams of Tongkat Ali per day, right? This will give you a lot more of the active ingredient. All right, the Bulbai natalensis. This is a herb found in South Africa, and it can help to increase your testosterone very effectively. So this was just one of the studies. They used 25 milligrams of a water extract, 50 milligrams and 100 milligrams, and you can see that testosterone increased the most in the 50 milligram per kilogram group. LH increased, progesterone increased. Progesterone in animals is a precursor to testosterone. Prolactin didn't change, estradiol went down. So Bulbai natalensis is very effective at increasing luteinizing hormone and testosterone and reducing estrogen, improving your testosterone to estrogen ratio. Gonna make you feel a lot more androgenic with high testosterone. So Bulbai natalensis work. The most ideal dose seems to be 50 milligrams per kilogram, specifically of a water extract. In terms of refractory period, and this is specifically in terms of libido, ejaculation frequency. How frequently were these animals able to get an ejaculation, right? So you have this refractory period, which separates your ejaculation from ejaculation, basically when you have libido, right? So some people, if they ejaculate, they don't have libido for 1 week, 2 weeks, 3, 4 weeks, right? So it's a very long ejaculatory frequency period. So Bulbai natalensis dramatically increased the ejaculation frequency. They were like really horny, had a very short refractory period, right? So it has a very good effect on libido and your ability to have sex and ejaculations. Next up is DHEA. How effective is that at increasing testosterone? So there's a couple of studies, but this is the most interesting one. I'm going to use a study where they used 100 milligrams of DHEA for 4 weeks in young men because they used 100 milligrams of DHEA in the supplement. So DHEA increased from 12 to 28, huge increase in DHEA. DHA sulfate increased from 2.5 to 6.7, basically, also huge increase. Androstenedione increased massively. Testosterone seems to be only minor increase, but it increased from 660 to 726, which is a decent increase. It's like a 60-point increase in testosterone. It's not significant, magical, but it was a decent increase. But most interestingly, DHT increased from 575 to 1,233. So the point of showing that is that DHEA seems to prefer going into DHT instead of testosterone, which is good because DHT is also involved in sexual function, being able to get an erection, and some studies have shown that DHT is the independent marker for ejaculation frequency. So the more DHT you have, the more you will be able to ejaculate, right? So it's really helpful for libido and ejaculation frequency as well. So DHEA might not be the best compound for increasing testosterone, but it's really good for increasing DHT, which is also involved in sexual function. So this was another study in young men where 100 milligrams of DHEA for 4 weeks in young athletes increased total testosterone from 18 to 25 nanograms per deciliter, right? So this was a little bit of a bigger increase compared to the previous study. And as testosterone goes up, you will see that estradiol also goes up. If you look at the testosterone to estrogen ratio, there wasn't much of a difference. So it seems to really just increase testosterone and estrogen at the same rate. So the ratio basically stays the same. All right, so this was another study, and I don't want to paint things all in the brightest of lights, because there are some studies showing that DHEA doesn't increase testosterone in young individuals. So this was 150 milligrams of DHEA daily for 8 weeks in combination with exercise that did not affect serum testosterone or estrogen concentrations, even though it significantly increased androstenedione significantly. So androstenedione is the precursor hormone to testosterone. Androstenedione increased significantly with DHA supplementation, but total testosterone just remained the same over 8 weeks, right? No change. So in some men, it might increase testosterone, in other men, it might not. All right, moving on to Fedoja. Fedoja on testosterone. Here, again, they used a water extract similar to bulbinatalensis, and in different doses, there seemed to be a dose-dependent increase in testosterone. Serum testosterone going from, what's this, like a 3 up to over 20, like a massive increase in testosterone when they use Fedoja. So Fedoja is definitely very effective at stimulating the production of testosterone and enhancing sexual function as well. So Fedoja on testicular size, you will see that the more they used, the bigger the testes got. So this was the control group with the testes, and this is percentage of body weight. It was 1.2%. It increased to about 1.4%. So they got bigger testes as a result, and like more fertility and more intratesticular cholesterol as well. More intratesticular cholesterol, which is obviously the precursor to testosterone. And this was Fedoja on sexual frequency. This was mount frequency, so basically it's a representation of libido. Day 1, day 3, and day 5, you will see that the biggest dose was the most effective at improving libido. So with this supplement, you're combining so many ingredients. Bulbinatalensis, you combine Fedoja with fenugreek and a bunch of other stuff that's been shown to dramatically enhance sexual function. So even if you do not, for whatever reason, get a boost in testosterone, you will definitely get a boost in libido and sexual function with this supplement. All right, moving on to mucuna pruriens. Most people know this for increasing dopamine, obviously, which is involved in sexual function. So mucuna pruriens has been shown to prevent the drop in LH and testosterone induced by diabetes in rats. It prevents testicular oxidative stress and inflammation on a high-fat diet. It improves penile neural function. It lowers cortisol and acts as an adaptogen. It increases steroidogenic enzymes like STAR, CYP11A1, and androgen receptors in mice and rats. It prevents penile oxidative stress and fibrosis induced by diabetes. And it promotes testosterone production by stimulating the hypothalamus and the forebrain to secrete GnRH. So it's a lot of mechanisms how it can help you to increase testosterone and sexual function as well. So the effective dose in humans, they did study it. They used 5 grams of mucuna pruriens. This was not a standardized extract. It was just like ground up mucuna pruriens beans. So mucuna pruriens increased LH, testosterone, dopamine, and norepinephrine, and lower prolactin and oxidative stress in humans. But the humans that they used weren't the healthiest of sorts. They had various degrees of infertility. So here you can see the different groups. This was before, after, before, after, before, after. You can see how LH increased, testosterone increased, LH increased, and all of these groups, LH and testosterone increased. And so the average L-dopa content of the dry seed is roughly 3.28%. So using a 15% extract enhances the strength by about 5 times. This reduces the dose requirements by about 5 times. Thus, to get the same benefit as in the studies, they need to use 1 gram of a 15% extract instead of a 5 grams amount that it used in the studies. So basically, if you're going to use a 15% extract, the ideal dose would be about 1 gram. But it seems to be that mucuna pruriens is effective at increasing LH, testosterone, reducing oxidative stress, increasing dopamine and norepinephrine, which is involved in libido and sexual function. All right, moving on to lutein, and keep in mind I have videos on all of these individual ingredients, so if you want to check them out, just search my channel. I have videos on all of these. So lutein is a flavonoid found in various plant foods. And so this was the effects of lutein on hormones in animals. And so the dose they use was 3.2 micrograms per kilogram human equivalent dose injected into the body. Now, if you are a 100 kilogram individual, this would be 320 micrograms. Now, obviously, this was injected. You're not going to inject lutein with injectin being 100% bioavailable. So if you were to supplement it, the absorption might be 5%, 2%, right? So you have to multiply that by that amount. So the ideal dose would likely be around 50 to 100 milligrams of an oral dose to get the same effects. But anyway, back to the results of the study. They exposed these animals to EMF and they gave the normal animals just lutein. Then they gave the EMF animals lutein as well. And you can see that lutein in the normal animals increased testosterone by itself. And then it also protected, it increased testosterone in these EMF damaged animals. And these animals were exposed to 3G for only a couple of hours per day. So they weren't even exposed to 4G or 5G. So the point being is, lutein can help to increase testosterone, at least in animals. Alright, lutein also decreases aromatase mRNA and protein expression and promotes aromatase protein degradation, similar to exemestane, which is aromacin, a suicide inhibitor. So of all of these flavonoids, myricetin, quercetin, camphorol, and so on, you can see that lutein was the most effective at reducing estrogen production. So it was the most effective at inhibiting aromatase compared to all of the other flavonoids. So it's very good at reducing aromatase expression, increasing your testosterone to estrogen ratio. Then we switch over to the compounds that help to modulate estrogen. Calcium D-gluconate. So this is the liver that detoxifies various toxins and compounds. Let's say it's an X, right? So the body attaches a glucuronide group and then excretes it via the bile into the intestine, and then you have bacteria that express the enzyme called beta-glucuronidase. Beta-glucuronidase removes this glucuronide group, so you end up with a toxin that just gets reabsorbed back into the bloodstream, going to the liver. So you basically never get rid of the toxin. So calcium D-gluconate is used to support liver function for detoxification, but also to inhibit beta-glucuronidase so that the compound can be properly excreted from the body. Now, so it helps with detoxification, it inhibits beta-glucuronidase, but the ideal dose would be around 20 grams daily to reduce estrogen by 23%. At least this is what's been extrapolated from animal studies. So the dose that they use in this supplement is really not effective. So how effective will 2 grams or 200 milligrams be? And in this product, they use about 138 or something like that milligrams, which is probably going to be extremely ineffective at supporting liver function and so on. So be sure to check out my full video on calcium D-gluconate, where I discuss how your body can actually produce the glucuronic acid from glucose. So as long as you eat glucose, you should be able to create that for proper detoxification. I3 indole 3-carbinol plus DIM. So indole 3-carbinol is mainly an estrogen receptor antagonist. There's really not a lot of evidence on it. DIM is potentially an aromatase inhibitor and can alter the estrogenic metabolite ratio, meaning your body detoxifies estrogen into different various metabolites, specifically like 2-hydroxyestrogen, 16-alpha-hydroxyestrone, right? So this one is anti-estrogenic and this one is estrogenic. So if you can alter this ratio in favor of the 2-hydroxyestrogen, you will be more anti-estrogenic dominant, right? So this is basically what DIM is supposed to do. It's supposed to alter that ratio so that you have less estrogenic burden on the body. Now, the only human study that I could find was in postmenopausal women with breast cancer, which is obviously not men, right? They used 300 milligrams daily for 12 months, and it actually increased estrogen from 97 to 111, right? So it actually increased estrogen. It was not effective as an aromatase inhibitor at all. And then there was another study in women, again, within just 14 days, DIM increased the 2-hydroxyestrogen to 16-alpha-hydroxyestrone ratio by almost 7-fold, right? So this would make these people significantly less estrogenic. Now, there's only one study in men with prostate cancer. 400 milligrams of DIM didn't affect testosterone, but that increased the 2 to 16 hydroxyestrone ratio from 1.28 to 1.69 in 15 days. So it's an insignificant change compared to the 7-fold change in women, right? So first of all, it's not effective as an aromatase inhibitor. It's very unlikely to lower estrogen or significantly modify your estrogenic metabolite ratios. So in my opinion, any estrogen or anti-estrogen supplement contains DIM is rubbish. So in my previous video where I talk about lutein, I talk about how there is a synergistic combination between I3C and lutein. They have a synergistic anti-estrogenic combination. So at least when you combine I3C with lutein, it will give you a synergistic anti-estrogenic effect, which is effective. So back to all of the ingredients, let's look at the doses. Calcium D-gluconate, 138 milligrams. That is very unlikely to be effective. A carcara extract at 1.5 grams, more than enough. We got the fenugreek extract at 50% saponin, 1 gram, that's more than enough. The studies used only about 500 to 600 milligrams, so 1 gram, very good. Bouba-natalenses at 500 milligrams. I would prefer if they actually standardize this to like use pro lenses, which is the best extract. 500 milligrams, on point. They use tonkatali at 300 milligrams. So again, in my opinion, that's underdosed. I would like to see it at least 600 milligrams, and you do want to specify the active ingredient in it. So this is where I didn't really like what they did. Mucuna pruriens, depending on exactly what they used, 200 milligrams. Is this a 50% extract, 20% extract? They don't specify, right? So let's say it's just the bean, right? 200 milligrams would not be effective. Indole 3-carbinol at 160 milligrams. I don't know if this is the effective dose because there's really no human studies investigating this. So I don't know if this is an effective dose at all in humans. DHEA 100 milligrams, good. DIM 100 milligrams, not good. DIM does not work in humans, all right? Stop using it. Lutein 50 milligrams, good. We got black pepper extract to enhance the absorption of various of these compounds, good. Phaedogia agressus extract, 1 gram, good. All right, so acarcara, good. Fenugreek, good. Bouba-natalensis, good. Tonkatali, a little bit underdosed. Mucuna pruriens, a little bit underdosed. DHEA, good. DIM, cut that. Lutein, good. And then the Phaedogia, good. So far from all of the testosterone boosters that I have reviewed, this one seems to be the best. They use the most testosterone boosting components in the right doses. So I would say like this is the best testosterone booster at the moment that I know of. There are other good ones as well that use good ingredients in good doses, but this one just contains more than all of the other testosterone boosters out there. So if you want to give this a shot, by all means do so. If you have used the supplement before, please let me know in the comments what your experience were. If you've done any blood tests on it, also let me know in terms of testosterone, free testosterone, prolactin, estrogen, like all of the good stuff. Alright, so I hope you enjoyed this deep dive into Black Oak Testosterone Booster. If you would like me to review any other testosterone booster out there, please let me know in the comments below. And I hope you learned something new, and I will check you in the next one. Cheers, guys.